Still looking for that Eclipse. Oh, hey, if you ever wanted to claim something online, didn't know how, today's the show. Sam Obletz, claiming digital stuff in the real world. Today, live in the lab. Wish I could find the Eclipse. I was looking for it yesterday.
Hi, I'm Bilous, and this is Live in the Lab. All right. A little bit of weirdness in front of the camera there for anybody who's watching. So I'm like, hey, where's the button? Where's the button? I can't get it going. How did you go viral on TikTok? You were on America's Got Talent. How much did you get paid to be on AGT? Oh, you didn't get paid. Keith and Steve here in Live in the Lab.
You're a great interviewer. I love it.
48 miles, 48 hours. And not just once. You ain't seen nothing yet. I hit 50 last time, and I'm like, yeah, things are a little different than they were 10 years ago. So trust me, things are to keep. You have no time for the BS that much of society seems to put on the table. Why is that? Like, what you're talking about is real right now. There's just no bullshit here, but it's just real. We brought you in with some Marley. I said, Joseph, let's talk music for a second. You said, well, Keith, oldies, 60s, 70s, and 80s. I've never talked to a sir before. Why are you a sir? In many ways, we're the same story. I came from nothing. You came from nothing. I think the old saying goes that if you want a trophy, you climb Everest. If you want respect, you climb K2. I've built an AI myself, and it's pretty fascinating when you can have a conversation with yourself with your own knowledge. Have you done that before? Why are we rushing to make these tools if they're all they're going to do is hurt humanity? Does the world need an Oppenheimer moment with AI?
What a fun show.
Hey, what's going on, nation? I think this camera's not working. Hang on a second. There we go. What's going on, nation? I got the sunglasses on because I was still trying to find that Eclipse. I was still trying to find it. And you know what? I saw it. And to all of you in the social media world, they're like, oh yeah, don't post about the Eclipse. Don't post about the Eclipse. Nah, you know what? Post about the Eclipse. If it makes you happy, don't get caught up in everybody else telling you what not to do. Dude, coming up on the show today, I got a few things. I got a few things on my mind. But before I get there, Sam Obletz, claim. Yeah, if you NFTs, digital NFTs, Keith. Yeah, digital stuff, crypto stuff, taking digital ownership, moving it into the real world. Sam Obletz is the guy. So we're going to talk claim.co. You want to find Sam? Go to claim.co. There you go. Hang on that. I'm creating sound clips for Sam right now. Go to claim.co to go find what Sam is up to. And you can also find him on LinkedIn where you can absolutely learn about what they're up to. So let's see where we're going to go today. So we're going to go here today. I've been doing a lot of reading. Yes, I read. Online. I don't read books. I don't know. I have this aspiration to read all these books and I just never get there. But I do a lot of reading. And you know, everybody's looking for a shortcut in life. Everybody's just looking for a shortcut. What's the quickest way to get there? What's the quickest way to do that? What's the shortcut to do this? Do I got an SEO that? Do I got to do this? I have a good idea for all of you. How about you show up, create good content, do it consistently. When you stop for a day, come back the next day. Don't give up. Don't look for shortcuts. You know, I was watching some videos yesterday on how to grow your YouTube channel. And that's what we're doing here. Besides our audacious goal of creating the biggest talk show on LinkedIn, we're also growing our YouTube channel. And I was just doing some research. You know how you do research. And people are like, oh yeah, do this, do this, do this. Then I came across a guy who reminded me of one very simple principle. He's like, hey, why don't you just create good content? I was like, oh, wow, that's a ambitious goal. Create good content. And then he says, why don't you show up every day and just do it consistently? And I'm okay. Yeah, that's a good idea. Let's show up consistently and create good content consistently and see what happens. Magic happens when you show up consistently. Magic happens when you create consistently. Magic happens when you engage in the world consistently. Here's another tip for you. I'm just full of tips today. If you want to up your LinkedIn game, don't just walk to groups. Post your content and walk away. Don't just get online and say, hey, here I am. Post your content. You're like, oh yeah, I just made a great post. You're all happy about it. You just put it up there and you sit back and you watch it. Nobody's engaging with my content, Keith. The algorithm must be broken. Nobody likes me. Nobody just wants to come see my content. Nobody likes it. Nobody engages with it. I have an idea. Maybe you might want to go and knock on a few doors on your community and say, hey, I like your content. Hey, you may want to go engage in somebody else's content. Hey, maybe you want to go a bunch of give. And then you know what happens? People come back and give you. Little trick. So advice, if you just come in to play the game, because that's what it is, nation. It's a game. How do I know? Because I've been playing it for months and days on end now. I'm building my business on top of LinkedIn. We are building the biggest talk show on LinkedIn with incredible guests and upcoming incredible conversation with guys like Sam Obletz. But we're doing that because we're showing up daily, consistently creating content daily, engaging with you daily. That is the trick. We post a piece of content, but then we go out amongst the internets, amongst the LinkedIn world, and we go and gain. We go engage with all of you. We go and give more. We go and like other people's content. We go and comment on other people's content. And then magically enough, they all come back to see what you're doing, Mr. Bilous. What you're doing, Mr. Oblitz. They're curious. Because you've made them curious. You've shown interest in them. The trick, showing interest in another human being. Hey, if you missed the show I had with Ryan Sullivan yesterday, the podcast expert, you got to go check that one out. Ryan will help you. If you want to start a podcast, Ryan's going to challenge you to say, do you really need to start one? If you need to start one, hire me as your coach so I can keep you going. I can keep you going with your audience so that you can go engage with your audience, create content, and then go engage with your audience. And if you want to become a great listener, the best way to become the best listener in the world, start a podcast. Or in my show, in my world, start a show. So if you want to become a great listener, my advice to you, no, Ryan's not paying me for this. No, I just like the guy. I know none of this pod stuff. Oh, Keith's in a pod with all these people. They all like each other's content and it just games the algorithm. No, actually, no, I think Ryan's a great guy. I think Ryan runs a great business. And because I think Ryan's a great guy and he came on my show, I'm going to go give him some love because I know he can help you. So if you want to start a podcast, go talk to Ryan. It's true. So, there's my rant today. I'm really, really grateful that Sam has been patient enough to hang tight for me there in the green room while I had to get that off my chest. It must have been the Eclipse. It must be the Eclipse and the combination of the soft music in my ears. It's funny. It's one last thing, Sam. I got to give you one last thing, Sam. Somebody came to me last few days saying, so Keith, what's your offer? Like, what are you offering people, Keith? I'm offering you a place to come kill time when you're at work. I'm offering a place where you're just fucking sitting at your desk and you're like, I'm bored. Come hang out with me. Sam's like, we can't have Live in the Lab on at the Claim offices, team. Everybody turn the Keith in the Lab YouTube channel off. Because he's going to encourage people to come kill time with him. That's true. And then I'll make one last offer for you, nation. You know where I'm good? I'll tell you where I'm good. Somebody said, hey, Keith, how do you hook a listener? I said, well, you make a pause. You ask a question. You know where I'm good? You know what I'm good to do for you? I'm good to go to bed with. Like, what? Yeah, late night television. Don't turn on Conan. Don't turn on those people on those linear channels. Tune me on and just lock me up at 10 o'clock, 10:30, just put it on the station over there and fall asleep. I don't mind. Just make sure that you have the program on for 30 some odd minutes so I can get those views. That's all. And then one last thing I'll give you an invite to is when you walk into that hotel room, you want that friendly voice. Why don't you invite old Uncle Keith onto the TV with you and we'll watch with you. Sam Obletz is joining me live in the lab, claim.co. What is shaking, Mr. Sam? How are you today?
I'm doing good, man. I was just listening to your monologue and I have a lot of admiration for you because showing up every day, I feel like is 90% of the battle. And if you don't take days off, if you're kind of long-term thinking, whether it's building a business, building a podcast, following, the no days off mantra is so important to me. So I'm over here kind of nodding along in the green room with, it's good to be here.
Oh, so let's go to that, man. Let's go right to that. Because I think you're probably drinking the same Kool-Aid as I am, which is, let me say this to you. When you're starting something from scratch, when you're starting something from an entrepreneur's brain, like yourself, and what's your partner's name? Anthony, is it? Anthony?
Tap Stevenson's my co-founder.
Sorry. So you and Tap, you have this vision. Visions don't take days off, do they, Sam?
I like that. Yeah.
They don't, do they? Because I'm going to suspect as a visionary, when you and Tap are sitting around trying to relax, you're like, there's probably something we should be doing right now. It's a battle, isn't it? Because I know I battle with it, Sam. I battle with it. When I'm out enjoying time with my family or with my kids or with my wife, we're going to go for dinner tonight. I got to make a conscious effort to be aware in the moment because I'm thinking as a visionary, there's something to be done right now. How do you manage it?
I got to be honest, whether you're building a car wash or you're building a venture-backed startup, it's hard to detach yourself from that. And your mind is spinning the entire time. My place of peace, Keith, is where I am now in central Idaho. Which is as rural as it gets up in the mountains. And I have to make a really concerted effort when I'm out in nature, which is where I reset, to try to have the discipline to enjoy the present because, there are needles penetrating my mind from all sides around whether it's the vision or the very real problems of the day and building a business. It's difficult, but if you can preserve those moments, they give me so much energy that I can draw on from that reservoir to be able to kind of fight through the curve that is entrepreneurship.
Yeah, no kidding. So before we get into claim.co, love the business you're building. You know, I'm absolutely a digital guy first. So when I saw the problem you were solving, it really excited me to welcome you into the lab today. I also saw you're a Harvard graduate. I am fascinated by, well, I have a son who's 17, and education is being turned on its head right now with ChatGPT and the knowledge in our pocket and personal brands and corporate brands. So I really want to chat with you about Harvard and you know what you would say if you had a son right now who wanted to go to Harvard. So I'm putting that out there for you to start thinking about that. But before we go all over there, Sam, I'm looking for, hey, Uncle Keith needs some free advice. Yeah. But before we go over there, let's just get down to grassroots. So you're joining us from where today? So we need to get the audience to care about Sam. They know he's got a great business. They know he's a visionary. They know he's a Harvard guy. So they're thinking, okay, I need to know more about Sam. Sam's joining us from Idaho today. Give us a snippet on Sam Obletz.
Yeah, so joining from Central Idaho. These bad boys, these wooden skis behind me. It's not a virtual background. We break those out every now and then because I'm visiting my folks here for a few days. We live very rural at 7,000 feet in the mountains. What that means, Keith, is there's no road access in the winter. It's snow machine or tracked vehicle only. My parents, they're in their late 60s, you know, helping them out, getting groceries up the hill on snowmobiles. It's fun. It's hard living out here, but, you know, frequently, I'll tell you this too, Stanley, Idaho, which is where I'm calling you from, frequently sets the record for the lowest temperature in the lower 48. So it is frigid, but it is gorgeous out here. We love it. And every day I get to spend here is just a joy. So I think what you need to know about me is I'm an outdoorsman. The last few days I've been out snow machining, snow biking, skiing. It's my joy. As much time as I can get out there, I love doing that.
Oh, that's awesome. That is exceptional. So I have to ask, Sam, were you able, so I'm not sure where the Eclipse fell into the Idaho kind of sphere yesterday, but being so remote and with no light pollution, did you get a chance to see the Eclipse yesterday? I know I had some fun with it during the monologue. Did you get a chance to see it?
I enjoyed that. We were 30%. So I put my little cheesy glasses on and saw the kind of arc crossing the sun in the bottom kind of third. But Keith, in 2017, we had the full eclipse here. Our house was in the path of totality. And what was cool about that, and I'm sure a lot of people across the country experienced this yesterday, but it got real dark, really cold. And the cows that were out in the field in front of our place, they all laid down and started lowing and mooing, which was kind of spooky at 11 a.m. You know, it was the true rural eclipse experience.
And I have to ask, how are you joining us today on the internet? Are you using Elon's system?
It's funny. I do want to get Starlink because that's badass. And if I'm traveling, you know, it's on the list. We need to make it a corporate expense, but that's a conversation for later. There was a federal broadband grant that actually allowed us to run fiber optic 2 miles up this rural road to our house, which was paid for by the United States taxpayers. Thank you. Thank you, Keith, especially for that. But now we have fiber up here, so it's sweet.
Well, that's all. So there you go. So it must be an interesting challenge you have, because while you go up there to disconnect, it sounds like you are connected. I know for myself, Sam, I need to be connected to relax. There have been times during my career that when I'm disconnected, I'm stressed out, I'm anxious. It wasn't until I climbed Kilimanjaro a few years ago where I was able to learn how to get off the grid and stay off the grid and be okay with it.
Good for you, that's awesome.
How do you manage that? Or is the winter home, or however you guys refer to it, it's like, okay, it's connected, awesome, let's go hang out there?
Yeah, I mean, you were saying you're live in the lab, I'm live in the barn here, Keith. That's what you said. I don't have the silver bullet on it. I'm kind of managing it day to day, but I do try it, and I post on our Slack channel, hey, I'm going out for a run, or I'm going out for some time in vitamin D, and try to do that every day, at least for an hour or so, to really enjoy it up here. But I do think this is like an active thing for me, Keith, where I wonder if I should spend less time here, but the time I have here is truly vacation, or if it's better to kind of meld both worlds, which is what I'm doing now, which maybe takes away from the pure kind of relaxation, but I get to spend more time up here. So it's a trade-off.
Well, and if mom and dad are up there, there's that added benefit of spending some time with mom and dad as well. No?
Totally. Yeah. I admire them a lot. I know you said that in the.
We're having some internet challenges with Sam over there. Again, nation, we seem to have internet challenges every now and then when we're talking to our American friends. Sam, you're breaking up a little bit over there. That's why I was asking you where the internet access was coming in from, because I was having some connectivity issues. So I was little stutter, but let's we'll see how it works. So if it doesn't keep working, I will ask you to pause, head out of the browser, and come back in again. I was asking Sam. Spending time with mom and dad up at the house there must be an added benefit of spending time up there as well. No,
it really is. It really is. They're out cross country skiing right now. So the more that we can do activities together, it's a beautiful time. Well,
so that leads into my next line of questioning, where clearly then, if mom and dad are out cross country skiing in their 60s, living the active lifestyle, I'm going to think that you grew up witnessing that, and it's important to you.
I did. I really did. And I haven't gotten a chance to share this story before, Keith. So if you'll humor me for a minute here.
Yeah.
I want to tell your audience about my mom and her story.
Yes.
So she grew up here in Idaho. She was training for, I believe, the 1976 Olympics in swimming. She was a breaststroker. And unfortunately, she got in a horrible car accident on I-84, transitioning from Idaho to Oregon for a swim meet. And, I'm so grateful. I mean, I wouldn't be here otherwise, literally. But she was near death. She was intubated for a month. She had one of her lungs removed, her gallbladder removed, her thyroid removed, in total 6 organs removed in the hospital, 270 stitches across her torso. And she survived at age 18. Not only did she survive, but she ended up going to Stanford. She swam on the Stanford swim team. She then became a national champion swimmer. She then has done 8 or 9 Ironman triathlons, including 2 world championships in Kona. And all of this, to this day, Keith, she probably has a higher VO2 max than I do with 1 lung. And so that's the sort of inspiration that I get to draw from. And I'm not going to live up to it, but it's a beautiful thing to be in her presence.
No kidding. It's there's really no reason for you to be lazy, is there?
Yeah, no days off. It goes back to what you said at the beginning. Don't want to disappoint her.
Yeah. Wow. Your mom needs to meet Christian Espinoza, one of my guests I had in the lab last week. He has ran. I love Christian. I like to embellish with my guests, but I swear, Sam, Christian's ran like 1,000 ultra marathons, a few hundred Ironmans. He's climbed a number of mountains. The guy wrote an exceptional book. And he talks about, and I think your mom might be able to relate to this. Maybe is that he wrote this book called In Between the Moments. Sam, he was so busy chasing the macro goals in his life that he was missing the in between moments. Right. So when I hear of mom's journey, mom has that near fatal incident, and then she goes on to probably not only embrace the micro moments, but also then achieve these macro moments along the way. Yeah. What inspiration for you, and what motivation today for you to keep moving today, isn't it?
Yeah, it truly is. And I would say the other kind of special aspect of it is the relationship he has with my dad. And I think it gives me a model of a relationship that is so important for me to embrace the best parts of with my wife and with the important people in my life, because they are able to share such a tight connection of the micro moments, but also build towards these sort of life milestones that they want to have together, which is so cool. It's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. How has that influenced your relationship with tap? So looking at mom's inspiration, you clearly probably haven't fallen too far from the apple tree or the mom and dad tree in terms of aspiration and achieving big things. Yeah. Is tap of the same ilk, or is tap like, come on, Oblitz, slow down, man. Like, what's going on? Like, how do you guys manage your partner relationship as business partners?
Yeah, well, it comes from a place of friendship. When you meet someone for the first time and like, it's just easy. That was what Tap and I had. There was no like ego or dumb shit, frankly. Tap and I walked into a dorm room in undergrad and we just started getting along, and we were randomly assigned to live together in undergrad. And from there, we're very different people, but personality wise, we gel nicely. Values wise, there's near perfect overlap. And I think if you start from that foundation, it allows, Tap and I to take different aspects of the business, focus on them without getting in each other's way or stepping in each other's shoes. And you need that because, as we talked about earlier, building a business is massive highs, massive lows. And, we talk about desynchronizing where we both are in a way. And to us, that means if one of us is feeling a low, let's say like I'm out, fundraising and it's a hard fundraising path or something, usually Tap will be there to pick me up or vice versa. Because if we're both at a trough or a nadir of kind of the journey, that's where things can start to get sticky. And usually one of us will kind of flip the switch or break the glass and be like, yo, take a step back here. And that's useful.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. How have you two, let's give some nuggets to nation. Let's give some nuggets to entrepreneurs looking to start out and become business partners. How have you two sat down and said, okay, Sam, you're taking care of this. Tap, you're taking care of this. I got your back, man. I got your back, man. Trust, and then move on.
Yep.
How do you guys delineate? How do you separate your tasks? And how do you have unconditional? Because I had a business partner too, and I had to learn the idea of unconditional. How do you unconditionally support Tap for the overall success of the business?
It's funny you said that you've had a business partner. I'm curious, Keith, was your business partner a friend of yours first, or did the business begin a friendship? Because I think they're two very different paths in a way.
That's a great question. So we were working together, so it wasn't necessarily a friendship where I was supporting him in a working way, and then I was going down a different path. He said, "Hey, I really liked working with you. I believe in what you're doing next." And he basically said, "I want to invest in Bilous Inc."
Cool.
He didn't know what I was doing. He was like, I want to invest in you. And Sam, you've met people in your paths in life going, I want to invest in that human. I don't know what that person's going to do. And I'm suspecting people look at you the same way, which is like, I need to invest in Sam. I don't know what Sam's going to do, but I know Sam's going to be successful. So that was the same kind of, that's how we came to our place. But I'll tell you, man, it took some time for us to figure out as business partners, each other's roles. And I think it's a big challenge for a lot of business partners. Sam.
Yeah. Well, the reason I asked Keith is because, with Tap, I think our trust came from living together for a long time, traveling together, seeing each other at various highs and lows, and understanding essentially how each of our clocks ticked in a way.
Yes.
But I think in terms of separation of duties or spheres, Tap is the brains of the entire operation. Like I'll say that all day, yell it from the rooftops. Tap is the technical guy. He is the CTO. He puts the code down. He makes the sausage. And I just kind of clean up around the margins. And, you know, I'm being somewhat facetious here, but that's kind of the truth. And so what that means in practice is Tap is doing product. Tap is doing all the technical stuff. He's running the engineering team. I kind of focus externally, take the primary role in fundraising, take the primary role on go-to-market, you know, winning contracts, et cetera. But that's how we cleanly separate. The beauty of it, though, Keith, is that Tap also got an MBA from Harvard. He also went to engineering school at Harvard. He can play both parts. He could do my job in his sleep. And so I can go to him with non-technical challenges I'm having. I'm like, hey, let's roll up our sleeves on this. And he's killer.
I'm going to make some assumptions here, and I want you to correct me or not. What fascinates me is you guys started as friends, and you guys started out as friends in school. And in my experience, sometimes when we have friends in school and there's a lot of fun and partying and maybe beverages that are part of the situation, friendships are formed on the foundation of fun, of going to the next weekend, of going to the next party, and maybe not necessarily on the foundation of real, honest, human, friendly values, like brotherly values. So when all the fun started slowing down and maybe the excess slowing down, it was like, okay, it's time to have real life here. You guys had this, obviously this foundation of human beings that when the fun went away, you guys woke up on Monday going, okay, wow, this is, we're now Tap and Sam that are real friends, brothers, friends, not just partying friends. Am I making sense with what I'm trying to say to you?
No, I think the assumptions are right. If I'm to unpack it, I think it's two things. I think it's first, we spent a lot of time with each other's families during the fun times. I think that gave each other a fuller picture of where we came from,
who you were,
nature, all that. And secondly, Tap and I both worked in the corporate world after undergrad. I went off and worked in finance and investing. Tap went off. He was a software engineer, but then he went to Microsoft. We did the corporate thing. I think we both came out of that with the realization that we would much rather take a big shot at something. And being a solo founder, God bless him, it's a lonely path. And so I think neither of us wanted to be solo founders. And the logical conclusion from that was, why don't we go build something together? There's no one else I'd rather build something with. So that's what we did. And I think, you know, to maybe one of the deeper points you're making, is there a risk to starting something with a friend, to like screwing up a friendship while trying to build something that probabilistically is going to end in a big zero? Like that is the risk we're taking. And Tap and I are willing to take that risk because we start from that foundation that we were just talking about.
I think the best thing, so I always say this to my audience. I don't spend a lot of time doing a lot of research because I like to keep it organic, and I really like just to have a conversation. But what I did do in my research with you and Tap was that I love the fact that you guys went away. You went to school together. You both had your careers. You did your own corporate thing. And then serendipitously or coincidentally or ironically, it was like, hey, let's get back together and do something. Yeah. And then you guys set out to solve this problem, right? Which moves our conversation and moves our story to claim.co. And the problem you were looking to solve, if I can perhaps paraphrase it, which you guys both said, or you said, Sam, which was you were interested in this idea of online ownership. Because we've grown up on the internet where you don't own anything. So you sat down and you're like, this idea of ownership fascinates me. So talk about claim.co, how Claim came to life, and how you took that idea of how can we bring ownership, physical ownership, to the digital world. Yep. Where do you go from here, Sam?
Yeah, awesome. This is my favorite part. So you mentioned NFTs and kind of crypto Web3 at the beginning. So let's nip that in the bud briefly at the beginning. Claim actually experimented a lot with blockchain in the early days. Everything we did in the early days of Claim actually was on chain. And so for those of you out here who love nerding out on this stuff, your profile on Claim was a wallet, and the cards, the claims we call them, that you received were NFTs, and it was all on the Polygon blockchain. And I think that there's a lot of interest, and I still am personally motivated about exploring that space. But if we kind of zoom way out for a minute, what is the blockchain other than just a database choice? And so for us, what we're trying to do with Claim from a digital ownership perspective is figure out what would people actually want to own online. And when you ask yourself a series of questions under that line of inquiry, it looks like this. Well, things that should be owned online shouldn't be any different from a technical perspective than what you already do, meaning there should be no new technologies that you need to learn. You should just be using apps and web browsers and the internet as you already are. That's learning one. Learning two is the assets or the things that you own online should be familiar to you, which our conclusion is they should be brands that you love or brands that you already shop at or brands that you want to try. Next, the things that you own online should have real world value or utility. And so the place we're starting is cash back, actual monetary value. And then lastly, digital ownership should be a social experience. You should have the ability to buy and sell and gift and trade and do everything you can do with every little trinket you own in the physical world. And so that to us is, okay, well, this needs to be a social network. And so you put all that together, Keith, and what you have is a social network that allows you to discover new brands with your friends and have social experiences with your friends in the digital realm. Does that make sense?
Absolutely makes sense. And thank you for correcting me and correcting the interpretation of whether it's NFTs, whether it's sitting on Polygon, whether it's, and I love the fact that you said,
I would say what is all that? Yeah, it's not correcting it. Like there probably still is a path towards that. We have the technology and we have some great crypto investors on our cap table. To us, it's a trade-off. From an entrepreneur's perspective, you can only be good at one or two things. And for us, the blockchain now is something that we've deprioritized in the near term, but we might revisit in the future to the extent that it helps us accelerate Claim's growth. So I'm not correcting you. You are correct in your intuition. In fact, I think you're ahead of where most people are.
Oh, I'm going to pause on that soundbite for a second. Thank you very much for... Well, I guess my impression or interpretation was that you are doing a wonderful job of communicating digital ownership to the layman while not wrapping it up in a bunch of technical, crazy terms that people get scared of. And I think that's what happened over the last number of years of the Web3, crypto, Bitcoin. People are like, what the hell is all this? And you're like, no, it's just a database. It's a registered database. And you know what? Let's not overcomplicate it. And I'm going to suspect what happened was all that hype and all that technology momentum subsided. You guys said, let's just simplify it. Yeah. Let's go back. Let's go to the market. Let's tell the market and our investors what this is. And we're providing real value to a human being. Boom. Instead of some of this pretend value that NFTs and crypto and Bitcoin did or did not do. right? That's really what you're saying with claim.
That's exactly right. I would say that there has been no real consumer use case for blockchain that has emerged, in my opinion, or in my experience yet, other than perhaps some of the tests that we were running around social, around cashback, and around brand discovery. And so to the extent that, the space comes back cyclically, I'm personally still invested, still holding things. So I love that. But until something really real emerges, to your point, that delivers value to some group of people in a meaningful way that is not just numbers going up, I'm not convinced that it's right for us yet as Claim.
Good for you. Okay, so let's go down the hole here. Okay, so I'm a potential customer of Claim. Let's do some role playing here, my friend. Audience is tuning in, going, okay, I want to check this claim.co out. So how is Sam going to pitch me? I'm a human. I'm a consumer. Tell me the value, how I go through your process. Walk me through this, Sam.
Yeah. So we call Claim benefits with friends, and it's our not so subtle take on friends with benefits. But if you're a consumer, Keith, put yourself in kind of the mindset of a 18 to 22-year-old, because we talk Gen Z. Claim is a Gen Z focused app. You're on college campus. Let's say that you're at UT Austin, which is where Claim is big. You hear about Claim from a friend or from maybe your Greek life, your sorority or your fraternity. And your buddy says, hey, Keith, you should get on this app. It allows you to go grab free fruit at new places around campus. You do it together with friends, and it's a lot of fun. And that's as simple as it is. And what you do as Keith then is you download this app.
Sam there. Get on this app, he says, and he's telling us that on the U of T campus, there he is. So you were saying, Sam, on the U of T campus, the app is hot. So keep going from that sentence there.
Yeah, and clearly my fiber here in Idaho is not up to snuff, so apologies for that. But you got me now, Keith?
100%. Keep going, pal.
Let's go. Okay, so you're on UT Austin. You hear about it from a friend. And it could be, your buddy in class. It could be, your sorority sister, your fraternity brother. And they say, hey, go download this app. It's going to give you cash back to go try new places around campus. And you do it with your friends. And it's that sort of simple language that really allows Claim to grow quickly on a college campus. Then what we do is we take kind of the best of timed internet. I don't know if Keith, if you remember HQ Trivia or Be Real or T-Mobile Tuesdays, the idea that 100%. You can have these moments, exactly, where you bring everyone onto the platform at the same time. And for us, that's Thursdays at 11 a.m. Eastern, is the drop. And the drop happens, everyone gets a text. You all have this communal experience of unwrapping your claim, your card for the week. And it kind of pops out of the wrapper and wiggles and is fun and is weird. And that card represents a place that you haven't been before. So it could be Sweet Green, which is one of our partners, which is a national excellent salad place. I don't know if you've been, Keith, but it could be Sweet Green. It could be an e-commerce company that sneakers, a tea, whatever. But you have this experience where you unwrap this thing and then you compare with your friends on what you got, and then you go together. And to us, that's it's a direct shot at trying to make the internet more social and more fun by blending the physical and the digital worlds. And so what we hear all the time is, oh shit, you got this, I got this, let's go together. Like, we've never been there before, let's go together. And what that does is it creates social experiences around the brand or around the restaurant or whatever those people are going to try together. And that gets people thinking psychologically that, wow, I just had a real human connection with someone. We went and tried something for the first time. That's a big win. It also happens to be a big win for Claim. And so that's kind of the flow that people experience.
I'm getting a little antsy in the chair because I'm excited. So just allow me to be excited for a second. I love what you're doing because I grew up with Macroculture. I grew up with Thursday Night Friends. I grew up with Friday morning where 60 million North Americans watched the show and we all talked about it. Yeah. And then Netflix happened, and that's okay. Right? Technology happened. Netflix happened, which is okay. Let's binge watch everything. So macroculture started changing into microcultures, right? Where it's like, okay, well, where's the macroculture moment? Where's this moment where we all can come together? Unless it's the Super Bowl or the Eclipse, there's very little moments now where we have as a society the opportunity to come together socially, which is the other reason I'm doing this live show, because every single day I create a conversation and invite the world in to join it. Right? And people are like, why do you go live? Because I want to create community. I want to create conversation. I want to create a drop. So I love that what you're doing is you're creating a reason for people to create a macro moment. You're creating a cultural moment. Even if it's a microculture moment, you're saying to a community here at the University of Texas or U of T, which is, okay, everybody, boom, Thursday at this time, this is what's going to happen. And then everybody talks about it. That is how you do marketing. And I'll tell you, people don't know. I'm going to tell you something. Over the next few years, because Netflix has become HBO, this idea of live event programming and macroculture is coming back again. Because technology is going to catch up the only reason Netflix has not done live programming is because technology has limitations on it up until now, right? So up until now it was okay, download it all and then binge watch it. But we all know the money is in live. That's why sports is so valuable. We all know the money is in the drop. Yep. Getting everybody together on a Thursday to go boom, right? So I applaud you for what you're doing. Sorry, I had to fanboy out of that, but
I was going to double click on that, Keith, because I believe that technology is cyclical in the same way that you're talking about macroculture live coming back. For example, Foursquare, check-in apps, those were kind of all the rage in, the early 2000s. I bet those are going to come back too, because there are little tweaks on the margins, culture shifts, and so, whether it's Twitch, whether it's live streaming, whether it's the ability to be able to go live on a 1080p stream, like you are every day. I totally agree with you.
But again, though, I like what you're doing, though, is you're, through the nature of your business, you're creating cultural moments, macro moments.
Yep.
Because society has been so used to micro moments, conversations in a silo. Fucking tired of conversations in a silo. What you're doing is you're saying, I don't care what color skin you are. I don't care what political race you are. Hey, we have a macro moment. Guess what? Y'all get to save some money.
Yeah. We say that the value prop,
frankly.
We say the value prop is save money when you discover new brands. Like, it's that simple. Get rewarded when you discover new brands. And so it's a win for the consumer. We haven't talked about the wine now for marketers, but like, it's a massive win for marketers too. And that's why we're building. Keith, can you indulge me? Can I tell 3 15-second anecdotes about the moment?
Yeah.
Okay. And you can time me too. You can time me. Here's number one. Number one is
go take a few.
We've heard from our users that Thursdays at 11 a.m. are a bright spot in their week that they look forward to. And that actually speaks to the kind of loneliness in a way that we hear about in the Gen Z generation. And so if we can be this bright spot in their week, that's super powerful and honestly very motivating for us. And what we hear is, whether it's classrooms at USC or Harvard or UT, there is a sea of purple screens that come out in the lecture halls at 11 a.m. and you see the purple splash screen of the Claim app and the Claim logo. And our users report that. They say that the purple screens at 11 a.m. are a fixture that week, which is super cool. Here's one more quick anecdote. We ran a drop where we said, hey, you need to come to this part of campus at this time at 11 a.m. So literally not just open it up where you are, but Pokemon Go style, go to this place. And we had students jumping over stairs, clearing flights of stairs to get there, to get into the radius, to get their drop, which is super meme worthy and like very cool in a way. The coolest story, Keith, was we accidentally put the drop on a highway in Boston. And it was like, oh shit, that's a liability. That's not great.
Yeah.
And so we had a user text us and he's like, hey, just so you know, you put the GPS location on, Storo Drive or whatever. And we're like, oh man, we are so sorry. Like, we fixed it. And he's like, no, I'm already on the highway. Like, leave it where it is. And we're like, oh, okay. Like, this is cool. We can start to actually give people these experiences, allow them to go do things with friends. Even if it's like, I went with my buddies to the highway. Oops. Like, that's a story, which is cool.
Dude, that's awesome. So you're dropping a physical location for your members to go and get their claim. Am I correct?
Sometimes. It's one of the set of experiments that we run. The drop, usually you can be wherever you want, but we're also trying things all the time as an early stage company.
Yeah. So we're going to invite Sam back when we get some better internet in the future here, but this is awesome, Sam. So I am, and then how big would a drop be when your audience gets a drop? Is it tens and hundreds, thousands of people? So how many people are participating in the moment? And then I have to imagine, Sam, once that moment happens, the social media reaction on behalf of that just must pop. No?
Yeah. Well, here's a fun one. We broke the Polygon blockchain. We used to do drops on the chain. And obviously there were some technical issues on our part on, the technology we were using, et cetera. But that was part of the reason we moved off the blockchain, is because timed internet on the blockchain, when we were doing it, just didn't work yet. It was too much stress on the system. Gas was spiking. It's a whole rabbit hole.
Yeah.
But to answer your question, where we're operating on these campuses, we have a lot of people. When we started on Harvard's campus, the first month we had 50% of students on the app. I think now we're at like 70 to 80% of people with an iPhone on Harvard's campus have Claim. So we do have mind share on these places, which is really cool.
So I would think that I'm thinking that your app is one of those applications. Oh, I just lost Sam there. I'm just going to remove Sam from the stage here for a second. Sam, I'll get you to refresh your browser. I'm getting no audio at all from you there, pal. So I want to make sure we're giving the audience an incredible audible experience. And so that if my friend Dalton is doing some work with me, he's like, dude, you got to get the people's audio a little better here. So Dalton, if you're paying attention, I'm working hard at this. I can't sometimes control the internet controls that go across the border. So we're talking with Sam Obletz, the CEO founder of Claim.co. And Sam has been talking about just the experience of how they do drops and the benefit to the users, the benefit to the marketers. Sam's back here joining us. So we were talking, Sam, about when you create a moment, the social aftermath of that moment. What happened?
Yeah. And Keith, I downgraded my camera settings to 480p. So
there you go. Cool. We're good, man. Keep going. Yeah.
You should be in good shape.
Yeah.
So cool. Before we really started seizing the kind of post-drop experience, we know that people were WhatsApping each other, Slacking each other, group meeting each other, saying, what did you get? And comparing. What we started doing last week is we actually shipped this feature we're calling Who Got What. And so after the drop, you can actually see what all your friends got, what people at your school got, and then like the ultra rare stuff too. Like, oh, somebody got a $300 thing. Somebody got this ultra rare thing too, which kind of creates its own social buzz in the app. We also have people posting, obviously, to Instagram, posting to TikTok. We like those channels for distribution as well.
Of course.
But this is an inherently social experience where if there's variability in the system, you want to compare what you got. You want to come back next week, which is the loop that we have, the hook that we have is, hey, you were unlucky this week. Cool. Come back next week.
Dude, it's brilliant, man. It is brilliant. I love it. My audience always like, Keith, you fanboy over your guests all the time. Like, how can I not? Like how when I like my friend Shannon Houchin, who's the peach lady, she takes one peach stand, Sam, and she turns one peach stand into 125 peach stands, runs an $8 million peach business, just selling peaches. Like it's like awesome. It is awesome, right? You're thinking, geez, why am I getting such? And I'm sometimes saying to myself, why do I have to complicate things? Let's just go sell peaches. But I love what you're doing because you're making a lot of people happy every Thursday. Mm-hmm. What a mission to wake up every single day knowing you're making a group of people that are happy every Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. And going back to your point on like the physical thing, physical in-person drops, there's this kind of quasi-scientific thing called the IKEA effect in psychology, where, when you get the IKEA furniture and there's little diagrams and you're like, oh shit, like, which way do I screw it in?
Yes.
But that's so important for us, at least that's my belief, because if people go to a place and they go together, they're going to overvalue that experience.
Yes.
Not overvalue in a bad way, but like ascribe more value to it than maybe you would otherwise.
Yes.
Which again gets them to come back to Claim, gets them to have happiness, better social experiences, have a better college experience. And if we can play a small role in that, it's awesome. It's great.
Oh, that's exceptional, Sam. So let's go down this path for a quick second before I talk about Harvard and school and we kind of work towards.
We're going to skip that.
Yeah. Sam, okay. He's looking at the clock. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
He's like, talk to me a little bit about Claim and, oh man, I kind of lost my track of questioning here. What is the risks to your business? So when you sit back and let's not pretend everything is just rainbows and unicorns. Let's just talk a little bit about, so sometimes what are the things that keep you in tap up at night? Let's rephrase the question that way, Sam. As an entrepreneur and as a business owner, what keeps you up at night?
Well, first of all, we literally have a Notion doc called the insomnia list. So again, I don't think you give yourself enough credit, Keith. Like you're ahead of us. So that insomnia list to us right now revolves around building a marketplace. And so if you think about the great marketplaces of the last 10 years, Uber, Airbnb, there's two sides to that marketplace. For Airbnb, there's the guests and there's the hosts. For Claim, There's the merchants or the brands, and there's the consumers, the students. And starting a marketplace means that you not only have to build a product for one side, you have to build a product for the other side too. And sure, you can over-index on consumers for a while and grow like crazy and build this amazing, beautiful app that we're working on building. Or you can focus on the merchants and making sure that, delivering great business results to those merchants, and they're acquiring new customers and they can reach Gen Z. But you can't focus on both equally. And what you need to do is find where the bottleneck is as a company. Is it on the consumer side or is it on the merchant side? And eventually those two things need to balance. The great marketplaces will balance over time. But in the early stage of building a marketplace company, it's not clear which side's going to, balance, or if both sides will balance. And so to us right now, I'm hyper focused on the merchant side of the platform, making sure we bring on great merchants that our students want to go try and want to go experience with their friends. We're fortunate that right now the consumer side's growing like wildfire, which is awesome. But over time, we as founders have to understand when we want to shift focus to one side or the other, because each side that you're focusing on requires a lot of cash or effort or team resources to kind of will this thing into existence. I mean, it's called the cold start problem. Which side do you start from? And so that's what keeps me up at night the most. I'm sure Tap is right now, running the engineering stand-up, thinking about scalability issues, which means so many people are on the platform that things are breaking, which stresses the engineering team out. I think it's a great problem. If too many people are using the app, great problem. But I am concerned about standing up the merchant side as fast as possible, so this marketplace will start to balance.
Show that I don't read. I read articles. Although the last thing that I read was the cold start.
Nice.
And you bring it up because as you were talking, I was about to say, hey, have you read the cold start effect? Have you heard about how Uber built their network? And anybody listening right now, if you're starting something from scratch and it has a network effect in it, you need to go read that or go listen to that. It is brilliant. It is absolutely brilliant. And it's clear that you guys are using some of those methodologies, it seems like, in terms of building these marketplaces, because it really is a chicken and egg scenario, isn't it? Right, Sam? And clearly you and Tap said, we got to go build this one first. And then at some point in your journey on that razor thin of decision making, okay, we now need to start pulling levers on this side of the house to maintain this side of the house, right? It's a balance, isn't it? And then we got to get cash along the way.
Totally. Yep. Spot on.
Yeah,
it's a network effects business. It's a network effects business. There are consumer network effects, meaning the more of your friends that join, the more value that accrues to you as an earlier user. And there are the cross-side network effects. The more businesses that are on the platform, the more places I have to try and experience, the more consumers that are on the platform, the more businesses are going to want to join. So the key is, how do you stand that up as fast as possible, which is what Uber did, which is what all the cold start kind of literature speaks to. It's a fun balancing act, man.
And it's interesting because I have been doing... Again, I'm always on this show revealing my secrets to the nation. I'm studying the network effects for how I could build this show, because I'm largely doing the same thing. I'm looking to build a network of listeners, and do I go about it in a macro way, micro way, as you were saying to me, so university audiences are our big customers. Well, our audience is it seems to be almost like the old school Conan O'Brien audience, which is college students are tuning into old Uncle Keith here. So I'm thinking, hey, I got to go hang out with Sam and his audience and go get in front of all these kids, because they're like, I want to go listen to this guy yap behind the microphone. But we'll put that aside. The network effect is brilliant, and if one can wrap their head around how that works, and if you can massage it into your business, you're on your way. Speaking of on your way, I know that we're getting short on time here, Sam, and I want to be respectful of your time, but I got to talk Harvard, man. I got to talk school. I got to talk ChatGPT. Sorry, I got to talk large language models, AI, all of that. I got to talk knowledge in my pocket, carrying what you went to school for many years, just sitting in my pocket. I got to talk about all those Harvard and Yale and Ivy League professors that create their video courses from years ago and just sit back and let students watch them. And you're like, wait a minute, I can go learn all that from ChatGPT. So Sam Obletz, should I be going to drop $100,000 on sending my kid to school? Or should I just say, hey kid, don't go to school. Just go learn, on these ChatGPT school things. And instead, Dad, go and invest in me building a business. Sam Obletz. What's the value of education today, Sam? You got a kid coming. You're like, do you send your kid to Harvard or do you question it? Do you say, no, go be an entrepreneur. I'll invest in you being an entrepreneur first.
I don't think that there's one right path. So here's kind of my mental model. And I don't have a 17-year-old son, God bless you, because getting into college today is a freaking nightmare. It is a crapshoot. Like if it were me today, no chance. Like Yale's admissions just came out with their, it was 3.7% admissions this year. It's insane.
Wow.
It's literally insane. And so I have so much sympathy for parents, for kids going through this process, and know that one day, God willing, I'm going to have a kid too who's going to go through this process.
Yeah.
So from a mental model perspective, I don't want to put pressure on my child to go to any one institution, because I think that education is what you make of it. You could go to Harvard and you could come out of it with a suboptimal experience. You could come out of it with fewer lessons, a lower quality network, lesser quality education than if you went to the community college down the road, because it's what you make of it. And so that's kind of point one, is no pressure on the children. Because unfortunately my wife too, she's brilliant. She went to, excellent institutions as well. We met in undergrad. And so I know that, if we're able to have a kid, the kid's gonna be like, oh shit, got to live up to mom and dad here. And that is not the case. I think that there is no one path. There is the Teal Fellowship. There are so many different things you can do to go start a business at age 18 when you leave the house, and go build a small business, go build a venture-backed business, go do something. And if that's what gives you motivation, go for it. But I truly believe that you can skate by at a top-tier institution, and that is going to be less valuable to you than finding a major, a discipline, a trade, whatever it is that gives you energy and that you want to experiment and build and learn in. And that could be MIG or TIG welding. It doesn't matter. If that gives you joy and that gives you a career and motivation, I'd take that over a major at a liberal arts, school any day.
Great advice, Sam. Great advice. Thank you for sharing that. I don't differ on your point of view very much. Frankly, I like to have fun with my guests and ask the question. What I'm seeing happen, and I'm sure you are too, right? I think we're seeing the dirty secrets of the education institution rising its head, and people aren't wanting to talk about it.
Yeah. Student debt, the payoff on student debt for so many majors at so many institutions makes zero financial sense anymore.
Right.
It is wild. And so that's what you see, student debt forgiveness, no matter your political opinion, it is such a burden on so many people who realize afterwards that, hey, maybe that major, the art history or whatever, gave me, joy at the time, but it wasn't the career I wanted to end up doing. And now I'm burdened by $100,000 student debt, and that's going to dictate my life for the next 20 years.
Yeah.
I think that if you surround yourself with smart people, thoughtful people that care about you, if you're fortunate to have great parents and a great support system, they can help you see around corners and figure out, is college right for me? Yes or no? What should I study? Where do I want to go after this? And it's hard because you're a 17-year-old kid like your son.
Yes.
What do you know?
Exactly. Yeah. I like your path though, Sam. You went to school. You went and chased your corporate career for a number of years. You stayed in touch with a good buddy. To me, that's the red thread through your story. That red thread that weaves through success. Every great business has a red thread that weaves through it. Think about that and go do some research. It's the red thread. There's some books written about it. Every great business, there's one red thread that weaves its way through the entire.
A lot of red going on today, Keith. So
exactly. You notice it, pal. But your journey. You go to school. It starts even earlier, right? Mom has her situation. You're like, oh my goodness. You're like, I gotta go. You go to school, you meet Tap, you guys hang out, you're friends, you meet each other's families, you form that relationship, that bond. You go on your own ways, you go become corporate. And you're like, I got a yearning to do something differently. Then you guys reunite, you solve a problem, and look at you now. What a great story, man.
Yeah. Fortunate to be here, Keith. We are in the early innings of trying to build something here. So much can go wrong. We're just keeping that in mind every day, that we have the opportunity to build something, and we have the opportunity to build something together, and, go where it may, we're having fun. So
that's awesome. Sam Obletz, thanks for joining me today here live in the lab at noon. I know I got something running in the bottom there. You can find Sam at claim.co. You can find Sam on LinkedIn. Sam, is there anything that we haven't talked about? And just so you know, too, your 480p has been great. And ever since we made the change, it's been awesome. So my fault for perhaps not making that recommendation earlier. I'll own it. But is there anything that we did not get a chance to talk about, that you did not get a chance to talk about, that you want to make sure the audience knows about? Because this is the time before we say goodbye to do that.
Yeah. Two quick things, Keith. So number one is we as Claim are looking at the opportunity to build this customer acquisition engine at a time where marketers are struggling more than ever to reach consumers. And so we didn't spend any time talking about the business that is Claim, the true business. And that exists because things like cookies are getting phased out, do not track, LLMs are starting to complicate advertising models, AI getting in the way of things in a way. And so the value that Claim provides to marketers, and the reason that I think we have a deca-billion-dollar business here is because we have the opportunity to replace advertising as we know it today. We're going after Facebook, we're going after Google AdWords, we're going after TikTok. And the reason for that is that we have an authentic way to reach Gen Z that doesn't otherwise exist. And we can go to marketers and we can say, hey, do you want to acquire Gen Z? Yes or no? And most of them will be like, yeah, we do, because we're a bunch of 30 to 50-year-olds trying to scratch our heads and acquire Gen Z. And if we can do that profitably, the network effects start to develop, we can build a massive business. So that's quick point one. Point two, you titled the show The Gen Z Genius, which is maybe the most undeserving accolade I've ever received, but thank you. We have noticed some very interesting things about this generation. It'll be interesting to see how Gen Alpha, whatever comes next in the Greek, letter alphabet, actually ends up happening, because what we notice with Gen Z is authenticity really matters. They didn't grow up on Instagram ads as much. They grew up trying to figure out how they can interact with their friends, and self-care really matters for Gen Z. This is a funny anecdote that we've learned, Keith, but our students often will delete apps from their phone as a method of self-care, of like cleansing. And this isn't just like nice to have apps. People are deleting the Starbucks app and then reinstalling it the next week, or deleting the Delta app when they have a flight and reinstalling it later. And so this generation is operating very differently. And I think we're going to see hopefully a reversion to more authentic relationships, because there is such, disillusionment in a way with where the internet is going, or at least that is the hope that we are building towards with Claim. So I wanted to get that out there, that we can talk all day about Gen Z and kind of what we're observing. But it's really cool to try to understand where culture is being born today and how that will actually move up market to people like you and me that are not in Gen Z.
I have some extra time, if you do, to dig into this for a few more minutes, if you like. Are you good?
Yeah, let's do it.
That's awesome. Yes, I love it. This is the real meat and potatoes here. So we talk about cookies dying. You're right. And there's a problem for marketers happening. Yep. And, I was trying to keep our conversation on a path here, so I didn't go down here earlier, but this idea of creating the macro, I'm not surprised you're disrupting these platforms. I'm not surprised that marketers are coming to you, because I can hear what you're doing. You're saying collectively, here's value for an audience, bring them together and create a moment. Like, there's value in that. That has not happened for the last 15 years at all, frankly.
Yep.
It's been lost.
I think that's right. And we've seen little sparks, but if we can productize a cultural moment,
yes,
that in of itself is super cool. We haven't done a, takeover in a way for one of our brand partners.
Well, could you imagine going to Taylor Swift and doing a drop with Taylor? I'm just picking I'm picking an obvious product market fit out of the market, out of our conversation. But could you imagine doing a Claim Taylor Swift drop? Like,
it would go nuts. It would be insane.
Yeah. It would absolutely be insane. So if you're an investor looking to, talk to Sam Obletz, I'd invite you to have that conversation with Sam, because because the moment you get something like that on the platform, things just change.
Well, if anyone knows Taylor Swift, please let me know.
Like, I'd have to think that the problems you're solving, there aren't many doors being closed right now. So if there's marketers listening to us right now, business leaders listening to us right now, which I know there are, and you're looking to get in front of Gen Z, you have the solution for them, don't you?
Yeah, and let's talk business for a second. What we are doing is, instead of taking your $1 million budget and shoving it into Facebook's algorithm.
Yes.
By the way, it's a drug. You are completely beholden to that algorithm. That's what we hear from marketers all the time. We're saying, instead of doing that, take that money, pass it back to your would-be customers via cash back, get them in the door the first time, have them try your brand the first time. They get the full experience that you've paid for. You get the actual conversion, or the knowledge that they're a true new customer. We didn't even talk about the nuts and bolts, Keith, but we can save that.
Yeah.
But that experience of, instead of, giving this money to the giants, give it to new customers directly. It's a better experience for those new customers. It's a better experience for you, because the customers get the experience you've obsessed over. It's not just an ad that, you pay by impression or whatever. It's the full experience. And by the way, we end up being usually more cost effective and ROI positive than the existing platform.
Well, and the level of engagement you'd get. And then what I'm also thinking is that it goes on for a while, doesn't it? I'm thinking you probably have 7 days within a moment, right? So some things go for a few days, but once you get to that next Thursday, the next moment begins again. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's exactly right. And what we do is on your drop screen in the app, we leave a little button that says who got what. And so if you check into the app later that week,
yes,
you can go back and be like, oh, yeah, I remember last week I almost got this, or my buddy got this. And that gives you kind of the impression that the next week is going to be another moment that kicks off.
Dude.
And we do that 52 weeks a year.
So let's do a little game of pretend. So how would I use my show on your platform? What could I? No, I'm serious. So is there something I could give to your audience? I can give them anything, right? Like I could give them because I don't have a product. I must say, here, go get my gum or go get my hamburger or something. Yeah. I could, in theory, give people something for listening to my show. Am I wrong with how I'm thinking, Sam? So
I don't think it's an awesome question. So we'll literally do this live.
Yeah, and that's what I love doing on my show, is kind of doing things. So because if there's somebody listening right now going, geez, how can I use Sam's product? So I'm a potential customer of yours, which has a service or not even a service, but it's like, so I want to entertain people. I want people to listen to my show. So it's not really tangible, but like old school radio, Sam, it is old school radio. Listen to my show. The 1,000th listener gets $1,000. Right? Same kind of concept, right? So every Thursday at 8 a.m., we're giving away $50. So how would I take those concepts, build my audience on the campuses across North America by using Claim?
Okay. Here are two ideas. One, you can think about Claim like a trading card game. And what I mean by that is there are ways you can collect trading cards. Trading cards on Claim have different rarities. They all have a cashback value associated with. And so you could do the Business Athlete Performance Lab, trading card game on Claim. Yes. We'd have to figure out the kind of cash flow element of it. But if you collect all these things and you trade with your friends and you get, Keith, a bunch of impressions in the app, then there's some element of that where, hey, collect all these cards, these trading cards, and one person will be chosen in the giveaway format to get something, to get a spot on your show, right? Hey, college students have all sorts of things that they want to talk about on a show like this.
Are we?
Right? That's the product, Keith, is distribution for somebody in college. Maybe it's an NIL athlete who wants to, monetize or something, or maybe it's a student who's starting an athleisure company who wants to have distribution on your show. So you could actually pay it forward and you get distribution in exchange for giving distribution to the lucky student on the platform. Totally spitballing here, but
no, this is exactly why I did this show, man. So I can get smarter people than me. Don't tell nobody my secret. I like to bring smarter people than me on my show and then suck their brains out of them. I'm like, okay, I got Ryan Sullivan taught me a bunch of great shit yesterday. And if Ryan's paying attention right now, he'll see the changes I made to my profile because of it. But dude, what you're educating me on right now is this. Okay, so instead of going to spend, let's just play with me right now. Okay, so instead of spending $10,000 on Facebook ads and all these ads to get people to say, hey, go listen to Keith's show. Oh yeah, okay, great. Go listen to Keith's show. What's in it for me? No, I can go spend 10 grand on Claim, give $5,000 away of that to people and actually have people engage with my content and probably get a better return on investment. I bet I get a better return on your platform because I'm trying to get in front of the audience. Because here's how I look at it, right? And embellish me for a second. So I sent you a personal video from me to you when I welcomed you into the lab, right?
Love that. That was awesome. Yeah.
Here's my thought process. And tell me what you think of this. If I can invest a minute in you where you're like, oh, I'm kind of intrigued by this guy. He's nice. He's, can you introduce himself with video? I'm hoping that you say to me, okay, well, I want to check this guy out. You give me 3 minutes today. You give me 10 minutes tomorrow. You tell your wife, she gives me 5 minutes. You tell your family, they give me 10 minutes.
Put it on at bedtime. Yeah.
Put me on at bedtime. Put me on while you're working at Claim, when you want to kill some time. Just don't tell Sam and Tap. Yeah. But that 1 minute that I gave you, because I made you feel good through our moment together, I just got 1,000 minutes in return.
Yeah.
I'm seeing it the same way with your audience.
I think that's right. And there are probably some loops to explore around, hey, what's one thing that could be important for you, Keith, is reviews or some content on your platform. It's like, okay, hey, there's distribution through Claim. If you leave a review, you'll be entered into this to, get a special hour segment with Keith where you can just shoot the breeze on whatever you want.
Yeah.
And the nation will benefit, you will benefit. There's something here, I think. That's
so this is the first time I've ever asked this on the air, but I'm going to ask it in front of the stream, in front of the audience. Sam, I think we might need to do some business together. So I'm going to ask you that when you're off the air, you start using that smart brain of yours, that Harvard-educated brain of yours, and you talk to Tap, and that probably you and I got to connect after separately. I want to explore this with you. Yeah. I want to be your first. Because if it works for me, dude, we've just unlocked a whole new opportunity for you for podcasters and YouTube hosts and people that are like, hey, I want to build an audience and I want my audience to build with me. I'm just looking at old school radio shows and old school radio, which is, hey, tune in between 7 and 9. We're going to give somebody $100 or like just those kind of thought. I'm not trying to create anything new here. I'm using old ideas and presenting it in a different way.
It's what we talked about earlier. It's cyclical.
It is.
Right? Technology is cyclical, whether it's the radio era, check-in apps like we were talking about, live streaming, it's cyclical.
Yeah.
And so there's merit in those ideas. They just fall out of favor for a while and they come back.
That's right. Sam Obletz, I got to let you go, man, or else truly, I keep bringing up Christian Espinosa. The Espinosa effect's going to kick in because I met with Christian and the guy's got such an incredible life that I ran out of time, like 50 minutes. I'm like, dude, you need to be here for 4 hours with me. And I can tell the same thing with you. We probably could talk all afternoon. And I need to let you get back to work, get back to your family, get back to the mountains of Utah. Will you come back and join me again?
I'd love that. I could talk all day with you, Keith. This is a blast.
This is awesome. So we can also create some content. We can talk offline for that. I'll tell you what, I'm going to put you back in the green room. I'm going to say goodbye to the audience and I'll come back and walk you out. All right?
Sounds good, man. Thanks for the time.
100%. Hang tight. All right. So Sam Obletz joined us here in the lab. I'm going to turn some tunes up because I hope you can feel my energy. So I'm going to put this one back on. Great shot. Watch for what I'm going to do with Sam. I don't know how I can't. I just don't know how I can't. Go check out claim.co. If you're a university student, if you're somebody who wants to save money, make money, all those kind of things with money. Sam's doing Sam and Tap. We got to give some credit to Tap clearly too. Check out claim.co. I'm fanboying over it. I'm all going to head back there after my show today. But I invite you guys to check it out as well. And we'll see you tomorrow. Mornings in the lab. I didn't even talk about this with Sam. I'm going to bring Sam back for this. Sam, have you watched Survivor before?
Yeah.
Dude, I got a Survivor on my show tomorrow morning.
Wait, one of the guys who won?
No, she's on the show right now. Liz Wilcox is joining me tomorrow morning with Mornings in the Lab with myself and Nicole. She's on the show right now as we're watching it, but she's able to come on my show tomorrow morning. So between 7 o'clock and 8 o'clock.
This is sweet.
Yeah, I'm breaking the news, man. I'm breaking the news. We have Liz Wilcox joining us tomorrow morning live. Mornings in Live with myself and Nicole. We have a Survivor joining us tomorrow morning. So that's awesome. I had to tell you that too.
Cool.
We'll see you, Sam. See you, nation. I'm going to go walk Sam out of the door. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning. Come tune in and bring some questions for Liz. We'll see you guys tomorrow. I'm going to get out of here, click the right buttons.